Hey there, coming at you again. My wife just reminded me to make sure I ask you guys to like my videos, and if you haven't subscribed yet, to subscribe if you feel so inclined, and to share these videos with friends and family or anybody that you think might benefit from them. It's not my sole purpose to get subscribers, it's to get information out there and to help people to get healthier and to feel better. So I have a tendency to forget, and I thought I'd better throw this out there so I don't get in trouble with my wife again. So yeah, that's number one on the agenda. Number two, I wanted to talk a little bit about our environment. There's things going around, people saying, "Oh, cow farts are destroying the planet." If you take a look online of the how the atmosphere is with the shutdown due to the COVID, people not driving as much or going to work, or no planes, trains, ships going all over the world, you'll notice that our environment's a lot better. I think greenhouse gases from transportation are 24 to 28% of our problem. Agriculture is 9. Animal agriculture is 4. So if you look at that balance, so our animal agriculture is 4, the total is 9. If you do some quick math, and 5% is plant-based agriculture, which is not so great when you think about it. The other problem with plant-based agriculture is monocropping. So they do the same crop over and over again. They deplete the soil. It can't absorb the water. They deplete the soil, so your topsoil just keeps getting less and less and less and less. And it's the topsoil, it's the organic soil at the top that absorbs the water. So when it rains, it washes all the organic material into the streams and the rivers, and it goes to the lakes, and then it goes to eventually gets to the ocean. And what you get there is what they call a dead zone. When it empties into the ocean, because of all this organic material, nothing can grow. So it's actually the organic material is part of the problem that's being washed away from monocropping of vegetables and wheat and corn and soy. So it's not all about just what's going up into the atmosphere. The other problem is when they do the studies on animal agriculture, they usually use like a feedlot as their basis of this information. So they say, well, this is what happens in a feedlot. They don't take into account that animal has been raised most of its life on grass. It's only the last 3, 4 months, 5 months tops that it's in the feedlot. So it's out there in the grass pooping and helping the soil. If you look up what's it called, regenerative agriculture, this is a new way of farming where they're actually sequestering more carbon back into the soil, increasing the depth of the topsoil, increasing the organic material, and sequestering more carbon than they're using. So they're actually helping our planet. White Oaks pasture is, if you want to look that up online, perfect example of regenerative agriculture. There isn't enough of it around the world, but it's something that's catching on, and I hope it'll increase quite a bit in the future, because what they're actually doing is they're putting back carbon into our soil. They're increasing, I think the gentleman who owns White Oaks Pastures, he was talking about how he had what they call a 1-inch. When he started regenerative agriculture, his land could absorb a 1-inch rainfall. and now it can absorb a 5.5-inch rainfall without runoff, without the water dispersing and taking away the topsoil and ruining the land. So that is fantastic. That's something that, you know, we need to look into. We need to encourage if we're going to save this planet. I think regenerative agriculture, if anything's going to save our planet, it's going to be that. So, you know, take a look at that. See what I'm talking about. Go to the White Oaks Pasture website and take a look at what they do. It's got a little short video on there, which is pretty good. And there was an independent study done by an engineering firm, and they actually tested White Oaks Pasture's soil for organic material. And they said for every pound of meat that they take off of there, they sequester 3.5 tons of carbon back into the soil. The same firm did a study on Beyond Beef and found out that it creates 3.5 tons of carbon for every pound of Beyond Beef it produces. So it is destroying our atmosphere, whereas the regenerative agriculture from White Oaks Pasture is helping our environment. So if you want to balance it out, for every pound of Beyond Beef that you eat, you should eat a pound of the White Oaks Pasture beef, which is a lot tastier, I would think. I haven't had any Beyond Beef. I don't intend to ever have any Beyond Beef, but I can imagine how good White Oaks Pasture beef is. So that's just a little tidbit on the environment, how they slur how they manipulate the data. When they study these cows that are in the feedlots, it's kind of like, how would you put it? Okay, let's say an alien comes from outer space and he wants to figure out what the intelligence on life is like. And he goes to the worst city, the worst school board, with the worst teacher and the worst student in the world, and he does a study on that. He'd go back and say, there's no intelligent life on Earth. They're morons. You know, they're not worth saving. They're not worth helping. And that's kind of what they do in their studies on on the environment as far as animal agriculture is concerned. They take the worst of the worst and they study that. And they do a blanket statement, this is what it's like across the board. And it's not. Regenerative agriculture is a fantastic way, you know, whenever you think about it. They said whenever when they went out west for the first time, the topsoil out west was 8 feet deep. And that's because you had the buffalo and the herds of animals going across it and pooping. And, you know, whenever you want to make a plant better, you prune it. So basically, they weren't going and wiping out the grass. They were pruning it to cause the grass to make a better root system and, you know, to grow more healthy. And that's what we're looking for. That's what happens with regenerative agriculture. It makes the land better. Anyways, that's my rant for today. Don't believe everything you hear from the environmentalists, at least in this area. I mean, when they start telling you that things are getting better because people aren't flying airplanes and, you know, we're not all driving to work the same time every morning. And geez, you know, there's no smog in China. There's no smog in LA because everything's shut down. Believe that. That's the truth right there. Okay. We'll talk to you later, gang.